Hi, Passionators! How are you? I'm back. Let's talk about this, shall we? Feel free to share the video, of course. We're going to talk just a little bit about seduction for a little while because I had a great conversation yesterday with one of my favorite Passionators about this very subject. Because there is a video that's being circulated on Facebook and pretty much all over the internet of a seduction, really. It is a couple where a woman is having a very good time putting on a very special dance for the love of her life. So, with that in mind, she sent me a very interesting message in my inbox, and I thought I would just talk about it here rather than just keep it there. Come on in. Thank you for making time. It's a little breezy out here, so sorry about the hair and the occasional wind. If it wraps around my face or something, I'll do my best to keep it out of my mouth at least. But let's talk about this whole seduction thing and how it shows up or not in our relationships. Hi, Angelique. I am so glad to see you here. Oh, goodness. And we have to talk. Yeah. See, in the classical, historical definition of seduction, the root word is seduce. It originates from the Latin, which means to draw aside. Contemporary definitions look more like it is a temptation, it's beguiling, it is to lure or to draw aside from proper behavior or standard obligations. That's what it means to seduce someone. It's often associated with sex, but we actually do it in pretty much every area of our lives, whether it is sexual or not. We just talk about it sexually more than in other ways, but anytime you do anything to try to convince someone to your way of thinking or to doing what you would like them to do, to being what you would like them to be, that is a form of seduction. So it's really not as foreign a concept as a lot of people like to make it out to be. I wanted to talk about it in the respect of how it shows up in relationships, or maybe not. Typically, I see it powerfully discussed and practiced at the beginning of relationships. You know, when we're in that phase where we're all strung out on serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin, and our brains are good and scrambled, and they're just not functioning properly anymore. So it's all about the feeling, and whatever we can do to intensify that feeling is what we do, right? That is part of the seduction. Every phone call we make that we know is going to entice the object of our desire and the wanting to be with us. That's why we do it. It's part of the seduction. The seduction is the process that we go through, that we submit ourselves to, or that we create ourselves to encourage and inspire desire for us in someone else. And it's part of the fun of being in a relationship or of pursuing a new relationship. It's part of the high, really. It's a big part of the high. It's what keeps us hungering for each other. And that is a beautiful thing. It's, like I said, part of the fun. The problem typically happens once a relationship has been established, because that's when a lot of people get complacent and they just really get lazy about the relationship that they're in. And they believe they don't have to be seductive anymore. And seduction isn't just a female domain, by the way. And if you doubt that, you can check out my most recent Facebook post. It was written by a man about seducing his woman. So, yeah, it is definitely not just a female domain. And it is not just hungered for by men. Women, more than a little bit, enjoy the seduction. In fact, it is the seduction oftentimes that makes us desire sex with you anyway. And if you leave the seduction out, many times we are not nearly as excited about the sex as we would be if the seduction had been there. That's what foreplay is for. Foreplay is the seduction. That's why you can't leave it for 5 minutes before you decide to get into bed together. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Seduction has to go a little bit further than, hey, you awake? Can we get a little more creative than that? Can we put a little more effort into it than that? Seduction is an attitude. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of being. It's a way of moving. I've heard it described as something that oozes from your pores. It's energetic. It's hard to draw lines around. But it is critical to how we enjoy ourselves individually and in connection with other people. And especially once you throw sex in the mix, the seduction is at least half of the enjoyment. It's the process that brings us together. It can manifest in so many ways. You can do this in so many ways. The way you touch each other is huge. Huge. Even when you're not in bed together. Or sometimes, especially when you're not in bed together. It is amazing the desire that you can turn on with your hands. Not even sexually touching each other. The way you stroke your lover's skin. The way you caress them when you hold them close to you. The way you rub your hands up and down their bodies while you have them in your embrace. All those things are very seductive. When we hug each other, here's a really simple example. Most of the time when we hug each other, right, we wrap our arms, well, from my point of view anyway, wrap our arms around shoulders and we embrace each other that way. Maybe underneath, if there's a big height differential, which happens to me a lot, and I may have to reach underneath because I can't reach shoulders because they're so far above me. Short people problems. But nonetheless, we usually reach that way. The difference between a hug and a caress in that situation, again, from my point of view, really is a pretty simple flick of the wrist. Doesn't even take that much. But if you want him to know that you're interested, take one of your hands off his shoulders and put it on the back of his neck and just lightly embrace the back of his neck. Slide your fingers slightly up the back of his neck and just caress it that way. That is an intimate embrace. There's nothing platonic about that embrace. But the only difference is the position of one hand. It's a matter of a few inches, a few angles, and how you flick your wrist. And you communicated an entirely different message. You've gone from, yeah, this is nice and I'm glad you're here, to, to, I'm a little hungry and what I want isn't on a menu. What I want is in my hands. The way we communicate, or the way we touch each other, is pretty phenomenal. But we have to be attentive to it. And typically we're more attentive to it when we're dating than once we get into the relationship. Because we believe that once we get into the relationship, the hard part is done. Can I just tell you, that's when the hard part is getting started. And many of you know this from experience. Even those of you who were single for a long time before you got into your relationship, once you got into a relationship, people were coming up out of the cracks in the sidewalk to try to get at you. It was amazing to you. It's like, where were all you people 2 days ago before I got into this relationship? There was nobody around except the person I'm in this relationship with. And now, all of a sudden, everybody on earth is trying to get at you. It's the funniest thing, but it happens all the time. And it doesn't change. That's what I mean by, that's when the hard part just gets started. Me and this wind are going to be fighting each other a little while, so I hope you can bear with me. Anyway, we have that issue, and it stays consistent. Once you get into a relationship, that is the most vulnerable time for your relationship. And the longer you're in it, the more vulnerable you are. And most people think exactly the opposite. They think the longer they've been together, the easier it is for them to be together. Not the case. Just not the case. That's how the weaknesses creep in. That's how. When you figure you got it all figured out, when you start saying stuff like, oh, I have them now, they're mine now, that's how you get yourself in trouble. That's how you become relationship lazy. That's how you become complacent. That's how you not even allow, that's how you create opportunities for other people to walk into your relationship and start doing what you used to do. Just saying. Something you may want to think about. What does seduction look like in a relationship? It looks like you reminding your partner why you chose them in the first place. It looks like you reminding your partner just how valuable they are to you, how much they mean to you, and why. And it's not that difficult. It's really not that difficult. There are ways to do it every day. It's just about being attentive. It's about being caring. And dare I say it, it's about being sexual. It really is okay to let your mate know that you desire them. They want to know that. They need to know that. And they need to know that from you. If you're in this relationship, that's part of the agreement that you made. Is to be each other's sexual fulfillment. That is part of the agreement that you made. That's part of the reason why you got into the relationship in the first place. Your mate wants to be celebrated, not tolerated. Just like you do. And here we go. Just like you do. They want to be celebrated, not tolerated. So it's your job to make sure that happens. It's your job to do your part to make sure that happens, because you're the only one who can let them know why they matter to you. You have to communicate that somehow, some way, every day. You have to communicate that. You have to communicate it. You can't just feel it. You can't just think about it. You can't just figure that because you did it before that they still understand you haven't changed your mind. You have to invite your mate back into your life every day. You cannot get so comfortable that you believe that they know that they're welcome in your world. Invite them in. Deliberately, intentionally. Invite them in. Even if it's looking across the pillow at them and just reaching over to stroke the side of their face. Just the way you look at them in that moment. Just the way you look at them. Look them in their eyes and hold their gaze. And don't let them look away from you. Hold their gaze and mean it. And just stroke the side of their face. You don't have to say a word. Communication is very often nonverbal. It's energetic. And you know how to do that. You absolutely know how to do that. You know how to share your energy with someone who matters to you. That's how you got into the relationship in the first place. And if you're one of us who expects to get into a relationship, then it is a skill you need to develop. You need to understand that your energy is communicating messages and signals when you are not opening your mouth. And you need to learn how to manage what that message is so that you communicate effectively what it is you're actually trying to say. You know how to do it. You know how to be seductive. Be seductive. Enjoy it. Treat your mate the way you did when you were dating them. And if you're looking to date, enjoy it. Stop looking for ways to be impressive and just look for ways to have fun. Enjoy being with them. The best way to be impressive is to have fun. People like being with people who like being with them. You want to guarantee a second date? You want to guarantee future dates? Have fun on the first date. Instead of finding ways not to have fun, instead of finding things to complain about, instead of finding things wrong, instead of finding things to fuss about, find ways to enjoy the date. Find ways to enjoy that person's presence. Stay in the moment and stop worrying about what happened before or what might happen in the future. Stay in the moment and enjoy it massively. Enjoy it. Have fun, whatever the situation is. You can arrange that. You can do this. You know how to entertain yourself. And you know how to make entertainment out of wherever you are. Enjoy it. find ways to enjoy being with that person. Because one thing is for sure. I do believe it was Maya Angelou that said it best. People may forget what you say, and they may forget what you do, but they will never forget how you made them feel. When you enjoy yourself being with them, they enjoy themselves being with you. It's funny how that happens. All the talk about the law of attraction flying around, and nobody ever talks about that. It's not actually the law of attraction, it's the law of correspondence and the law of vibration. It's one of the 7 laws of hermeneutics, but that's another conversation for another video. For now, just understand that your energy is going to attract what is compatible with it. Thank you, Alvin. I am loving all these hearts. You all don't know, Alvin's got magic hands. Alvin is a wonderful masseuse, but that's another conversation too. It is your energy that attracts what is compatible with it. That's why when you enjoy yourself with them, they tend to enjoy themselves with you, and they will desire to be in your presence again and again and again. When people want to be with you, it's because of the way they feel about themselves when they're with you. It's not because of the way they feel about you. You might want to write that down. Hi, Michelle. The law of attraction is what people typically talk about, but it's actually referring to the law of correspondence. And there are 6 other laws that go along with it. The 7 laws of hermeneutics. But I'll talk about that in another video. For now, just understand that your energy is magnetic, and as such, it attracts things that are compatible with the vibration that it puts out. So whatever it is you believe, not necessarily just what you think, because thoughts can be fleeting, but beliefs are entrenched. Beliefs are what produce the energy that you put out. That's why you can say and you can think all day long, I like for instance, another common mistake that people make is to think that because they say they want good things and positive things and all of that in their relationships, but when they have conversations about relationships, just general conversations, not necessarily about any specific relationship, but when they rehearse their relationship history for you, it's a long string of bad news. And then they want to know why they keep getting into the same relationship over and over and over again. It's like because their beliefs haven't changed. What they believe about relationships has not changed. No matter what they say they want, no matter what they think they want, their actual beliefs about relationships haven't changed. That's why they keep attracting the same person in a different name, wearing different clothes over and over again. That's another video too. Looks like I may have to do a series. Fortunately, there will soon be a membership program and we'll be discussing all of those things. So whatever you would like me to talk about, let me know, because I'm writing the content for that right now. And of course, videos are going to be part of it. We're going to do a lot of live conversations, and I'm looking forward to those. They'll be a little different from what I'm doing here, because these are pretty one-sided. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you so much, sweetheart. And thank you, Sonia. I will definitely let you know for sure, because we need to do this in a way that Facebook Live, at least on the open platform, doesn't really allow for. So in my membership program, I can stay with you for an hour or two. We can schedule it. You can set the time aside. I can set the time aside, and we can have a real conversation. And of course, you'll have access to the recordings afterward. And we'll do that every month about whatever it is that's most pressing for you guys. I'm definitely willing to talk about whatever is on your mind, right? Because that's why I'm here. So if I can make that any more manageable for you, just let me know. Shoot me a private message. Let me know what you'd like to see. I'd like to have the time to, really research it for you and flesh it out in a way that would be valuable to you. Definitely. But I digress. Back to the subject of seduction. That's the fun part, y'all. That's the fun part. I shouldn't have to talk you into that. Like, that's the part that's supposed to be the fun part. It is what makes you smile when you have no other reason to smile. It's what has you looking goofy at the oddest times. It is when somebody notices you when you didn't think they noticed you and saw something in you that made them want to be with you. That's pretty heady stuff. But it's part of the glue that makes intimacy stick. So talk about it. Touch each other. Kiss each other. Like you mean it. Not that mandatory peck going in and out the door. Here's another one that a lot of people miss. I know we live in a society most often where both people work outside the home. And that's okay. But somebody's usually going to get home first. Usually. And when that happens, whoever comes in last typically isn't acknowledged when they come in. Everything that's going on in the house continues to go on in the house, even after they come in the door. If you decide you don't have to tell your mate anything, right? This is just between me and you, okay? You decide for the next 7 days that if you're the one who gets home first, that when your mate comes through that door, everything that you're doing stops and you go to the door to greet them with a very close, warm, loving hug and kiss. And then you can go back to doing whatever it was you were doing. Unless something's burning down, then it can wait for the minute that it would take you to do that. 1 minute. If you devote 1 minute to that for the next 7 days, as far as it concerns you. Hi, Marjorie. We talked a lot about seduction, and I can't keep them on much longer, but please check the replay. I promise I won't cut anything out. I won't edit it at all. It'll all be there waiting for you, I promise. But for this seduction, stop what you're doing. Stop your world when your mate comes home and greet them. Doesn't matter if you just saw them that morning. Hopefully you did. But when they come back home, stop your world and greet them. Hug them, kiss them, and just say, I'm glad you're home. And go back to whatever you were doing if you need to. If you have time to talk to them, it's great. If you have time to just sit and catch up on each other's day, awesome. But if not, at least do that much. At least do that. And just see what happens. See what happens. See how your mate responds to it. and let me know. I'd really like to find that out. Okay? That's a simple one. And there's plenty more where that came from. I have lots of ideas about this that I share with the people that I work with all the time. So that's a simple one. But I use it because it is simple and because it is so effective and because most people just don't think about it. But that's why I'm here. You know that saying where, thank you, Albert. You know that saying about not being able to see the forest for the trees? Well, most of us, when we're in relationships, the relationship is our tree, and that's all we're focused on, right? But I have the benefit, I have the advantage of perspective that you don't have for your own relationship. So I can be your forest. I can be your sea. I can see what you're blind to, not because it isn't there, just because you don't have the perspective. You're too close. And because I'm farther away, I can see. I can see the pitfalls you're about to fall into. I can see the danger ahead that you might not be able to see because you're staring at your tree. So this gesture over a week, and just see. 7 days. And by the way, don't be afraid to go 8. There's nothing that says you have to stop at 7 days. Just at least 7 days. Okay? And come back and tell me about it. I'd really like to hear. So for now, I'm going to let you go. I really appreciate you showing up, as always, because I know there are many more things you could be doing with your time than spending it with me. So I appreciate it. Truly, I do. And I'm looking forward to much more of this. And like I said, in our membership programs, it'll be even more personal. There'll be a lot more conversation. There'll be a lot more back and forth. And you'll be able to send your questions to me ahead of time, and I'll be able to address them for you. And I will let you know when I'm going to address your question, so you can be sure to be there. But even if you can't be there, everything will be recorded for you, so you can come back and see it later on in the month. So everything will be up and active for 30 days, and then all the content gets changed every month, so it's always new and it's always fresh and it's always something that matters to you. So stay tuned for those details. In the meantime, if you'd like to get on my mailing list, just visit my website at www.edenadele.com. That's E-D-E-N, like the garden, A-D-E-L-E, like the singer. And pick up your Get Back to Passion cheat sheet. I kind of like that sheet, and it's getting really good reviews. So it's a PDF, it's a download. My compliments to say thank you for joining my mailing list. So thank you. Thank you again. I really appreciate you being here. All the love, all the thumbs up, and all the hearts. They always make me smile. You all are great. Passionators rule. You guys rule. I love you so much. Thank you. And I will be back again soon. Send me a private message if you want, or visit my website, get on my mailing list, or share this video. And hopefully there'll be a lot more seductions going on tonight. Yes, let's do this, Passionators. We can do this. We can seduce our way back to love. We can. And we'll enjoy it. I promise you. Thanks again for tuning in. Good night, everybody. Rest well, Passionators. For tomorrow, we rise to love one more time. I love you totally. Bye-bye.